Friends, if you have planted vining vegetables, such as bottle gourd, pumpkin, cucumber, ridge gourd, sponge gourd, or any other trailing crops, you can harvest 2 to 3 times more produce by adopting the 2G and 3G cutting techniques. These 2G and 3G cutting methods prove highly effective for all types of vining vegetables. The primary benefit of adopting this technique is that it significantly increases the number of fruits, specifically the female flowers, produced on the vines. For instance, take a look at this bottle gourd vine of mine. I have applied the 3G cutting technique to it, and let me show you the results. You will see bottle gourds growing all over the vine. Not only are there numerous large fruits already established, but you will also spot tiny developing fruits at every single node, joint, along the vine. Look here, see how many fruits are growing on this side? Let me show you the entire vine. You can see just as many small fruits growing on this side as well. The entire vine, look over here, is laden with fruit. Wherever you cast your gaze, you will see nothing but fruits growing along the length of the vine. This, then, is the distinct advantage of performing 2G and 3G cutting. You won't find a single empty spot on the vine where fruit hasn't emerged. I will show you the fruits on this bottle gourd vine again later in the video. For now, let me show you a ridge gourd vine to demonstrate the benefits of 3G cutting on a different plant. Take a look at this ridge gourd vine. Observe the fruits here. At every single node, or joint, along the vine, you will see fruits emerging. They are growing back to back at every single joint. So, friends, to obtain a higher yield of fruits from your vining vegetables, the very first step is to use high-quality seeds. Using good quality seeds ensures that the vine grows vigorously, remains less susceptible to diseases, and produces a greater abundance of fruit. Secondly, you must also pay attention to providing appropriate manure and fertilizers. Fertilizers should be applied in the correct dosage and at appropriate intervals, as vine-growing vegetables are heavy feeders, meaning they require a substantial amount of nutrients to produce a bountiful harvest. Bearing these two factors in mind, by adopting the 1G, 2G, and 3G cutting techniques for your vine vegetables, you can effectively double or even triple the quantity of fruit produced. So, let's discuss exactly what 1G, 2G, and 3G cutting entails, when and how it should be performed. In other words, what is the correct method for implementing this technique? Friends, whenever you sow the seeds of vine vegetables, the very first shoot or branch that emerges from the plant after germination is referred to as 1G, where G stands for generation. Thus, this initial growth represents the first generation, or 1G, of the plant, for instance, a pumpkin vine. When you prune this 1G shoot, this first generation growth, new shoots or branches will subsequently sprout from it. These newly emerged branches are termed 2G, signifying the second generation. You should implement the 2G technique, that is, prune the plant, only after the vine has developed 10 to 12 leaves. The moment the vine bears 10 to 12 leaves marks the ideal time to perform the 2G cutting. By this stage, the vine has grown sufficiently large and has become robust enough to withstand the physiological stress induced by the pruning process. To perform the 2G cutting, you must remove the very tip, or the uppermost section, of the vine. You can do this either by simply pinching it off with your fingers, though the most effective method is to use a sharp blade. Using a blade ensures a clean, precise cut, which facilitates proper healing at the point of excision. However, since the chances of pest or disease attacks are relatively low, you should simply snip off a small portion, the very tip, from the top of the vine. As you can clearly see here, I have cut and removed it. I'll trim off just a little bit more. Now, observe. The top section has been successfully removed. Once you have made this cut, specifically at the point where the top section was removed, new branches will begin to emerge from the leaf axils, the areas where the leaves sprout from the stem, which are essentially the vine's node areas. At a minimum, 2 new branches will sprout from this spot. Furthermore, if the vine is particularly vigorous, meaning you have provided it with adequate fertilizer and care, even more than 2 branches may emerge. These new branches, the fresh shoots sprouting from the main stem, are referred to as the second generation, or 2G. Take a look here. This is an update showing the vine approximately 6 to 7 days after the 2G pruning was performed. You can clearly see the results following the cut we made earlier. Right at the point where the cut was executed, a new shoot has emerged. This constitutes its second generation, 2G. Let me also show you the area just behind it. Another shoot has sprouted from the node located further down the stem. As you may have noticed, my vine was growing in an exceptionally strong and healthy manner. The healthier and more robust a plant is, the greater the number of branches it will produce. Moreover, observe how male flowers have already begun to appear on this vine, despite its relatively small size. Thus, one significant advantage of performing 2G and 3G pruning is twofold. Firstly, it stimulates the production of a greater number of branches, shoots, and secondly, it accelerates the onset of flowering. So far, I have shown you a total of 3 new branches, and I will now show you the ones located further back along the vine as well. What is known as 2G cutting? After performing this 2G cutting on a plant that previously consisted of just a single stem, as you observed earlier, I will share updates showing just how many new branches subsequently emerge. This update shows the plant 5 to 7 days after the 2G cutting was performed. You can clearly see the cut mark where we severed the vine. Just below the point where we made the cut, you can see a new shoot has emerged. Look, there is a new branch right there. Furthermore, look at the node directly below that new branch. Another distinct new branch has sprouted from there, meaning a second new shoot has appeared. And right next to that one, yet another new shoot has emerged. Thus, as you can see, the cutting process has resulted in the rapid emergence of 3 brand new branches. Now, observe the benefits of this 2G cutting. The vine is currently only 25 to 30 days old, yet it has already started bearing small fruits. Look over here, a bottle gourd fruit has already begun to form, and simultaneously, numerous male flowers have also started to appear on the plant. Now, regarding the new branches that emerged following the 2G cutting, you must once again cut off the tips of these new branches. This process is referred to as 3G cutting. Specifically, once these new branches, the second-generation branches, have grown to possess 8 to 10 leaves each, you should cut them back again. This constitutes the 3G cutting stage. Since many people tend to get confused regarding 2G and 3G cutting techniques, let me help you understand the concept using a basic diagram. Observe how the vine grows initially, that is, the primary shoots that constitute the original plant. That marks the completion of its first generation. Wherever you make a cut, specifically at a node or joint, new branches will emerge. These new shoots may sprout directly adjacent to the cut, from behind it, or even from a branch situated 1 or 2 nodes below. Next comes the 2G stage. Once the branch growing from the initial cut, the second generation, develops 8 to 10 leaves, you must once again cut off its tip. The new branches that subsequently emerge from this second cut constitute the 3G stage, that is, the third generation. I have explained this to you in a very basic manner, illustrating it both through a practical demonstration and via this simple diagram, as many people often get confused regarding 2G and 3G cutting techniques. The primary benefit of performing 2G and 3G cutting is this. When you make the initial cut on the vine, the 2G cut, the fruit yield, which would have occurred naturally, is effectively doubled. Furthermore, when you proceed to perform the 3G cut on those 2G branches, the fruit yield, which had already doubled, is then tripled. Friends, this is an incredibly beneficial and targeted technique, and I have endeavored to explain it to you in the simplest way possible. I encourage you to adopt this method for your own vine-growing vegetables. You will find that your entire vine becomes heavily laden with an abundance of fruit. Friends, I hope you found today's video and this information useful. If you enjoyed this video, please, I urge you, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Finally, thank you for watching.